Nhà phố Thương mại hay còn gọi là Shophouse là mô hình căn hộ nhà ở kết hợp với cửa hàng kinh doanh. Đây không phải là mô hình bất động sản mới nhưng vẫn giữ được sức hút với các nhà đầu tư trong thời gian qua. Bằng chứng là nhiều khu vực Shophouse đã và đang phát triển vượt bậc tại các khu mua sắm hàng đầu trên thế giới. Có thể kể đến The Fifth Avenue, Rodeo Drive LA, Avenue Montaigne Paris ở châu Âu, Ginza Tokyo tại Nhật Bản, Geylang ở Singapore, Penang, Malacca ở Malaysia. Đây cũng là chủ đề được chúng tôi thảo luận trong chương trình Tầm Nhìn Thị Trường kỳ này với các vị khách mời: ông Andy Han Suk Dung, Tổng Giám đốc Sun Kim Land, bà Chinh Trần, trưởng phòng bộ phận cho thuê mặt bằng bán lẻ CBRE, ông Yoon Ju Yong, Giám đốc điều hành GS25 và chuyên gia kinh tế Bùi Văn.
Welcome back to our program, Property Insight, and today we're going to discuss about one topic I think that's interesting to many people, that's Shophouse. First thing, we have to see that the definition of Shophouse, is it new in Vietnam, Ms. Chinh?
So to answer, the Shophouse definition in Vietnam is not very new, but it's confusing sometimes. The original concept or definition was a house with around 2 to 3 floors maximum, where they have the ground floor to do the business, to do commercial services, and the upper floor is for residents to stay to live in there. So that's the original definition. But nowadays we see that shop houses are also in the low levels of the apartment buildings, or even in new development area, and the shop house looks the same and similar to what I said in original definition. So it's all, there's no definition regulated by law in Vietnam, but there's a history back in the 1950s in Southeast Asian countries as well as in China. So that's where it comes from.
But now we talk about a modern shophouse. Modern shophouse, what is most significant difference from modern shophouse and traditional shophouse?
The most significant difference, I think, is the traditional shop houses is on the streets. In retail leasing, we might call, or in some European countries, we might call it high street leasing. So it's high street. It's where people do business, or brands that are doing their business. But nowadays, the modern shop house are also in, like I said earlier, in the low levels of the of the residential buildings, where they either have 1 or 2 floors connected, or just the ground floor, and the upper floors, let's say maximum to the 4th floor, as commercial services. They call it, somehow they call it a shop lot or shop houses. And the purpose of that is to do commercial services for the building or for the project.
Yeah. So, and Mr. Yoon, you've been in Vietnam for 3 years. And compared with 3 years you working in Vietnam, what's different from shop house in Korea and shop house in Vietnam?
Basically, the shop house concept is not popular in Korea, because in terms of the modern shop house concept, like you said before, like the apartment, and then the one or the ground floor, 1st floor, 2nd floor would be the shop house. Yes. But in Korea, when they built up the residence area, is different. We built up the different building. only for the commercial zone. Usually not built up the commercial shops on the ground floor. Sometimes it also happens, but not popular style. So when I living here 3 years, that popular shop house style in the apartment is very new for me. So it's let's say it's quite different from Korea.
Yeah, and Andy, why some people say that the shop house is difficult to sell? I can't imagine, because I would like to buy the house and have one floor for business. And the next day, if business good, I leave 2 floors for business. And if it's even better, I can leave 3 stories for business, and I move to apartment upstairs to live. So somehow that should be very flexible to the buyer.
I think recently this concept of the shop house has become very popular in Vietnam. And I have seen a lot of owners who own more than one shop house in many projects. And from what I've heard, all these shop houses produce pretty decent rental yield, around 6% figure from CBRE I just heard. So I think this is a good investment for those real estate investors who are looking to invest in many different type of real estate assets. Again, depending on the location, this could be a really easy for developer to sell, or it could be very headache for us because the location, if the location is going to only serve the residents up who are living in the residential towers, then I think we will tend to struggle. But if we have a project that we know it will capture not only the people who are living upstairs, but people who are passing by, people who are walking by, then these businesses will tend to do well. And from what I have seen, especially in Ho Chi Minh cities, the areas where I see a lot of foreigners live, when you see a lot of foreign tenants living in the complex, shop houses or the retail shops tend to perform better. The rental prices also tend to be higher because there's a lot of demand. And these foreigners have to walk because they don't have any cars or they don't ride any motorbikes. So the tendency that I see, places like District 7, Phu My Hung, where I see a lot of foreigners stay, and places in District 1 where I know there's a lot of foreigners live. So those areas, shop houses have been performing very well.
So I say that the demand for shop house depend on location, depend on resident, Vietnamese or foreigner. Also depend on, you say that people using motorbike, different from Korea. In Vietnam, people using motorbike. So the motorbike factor increase or decrease the demand for shop house?
I think the mind from the local people is that because they can go anywhere with the motorbike, they want to find a restaurant that is the cheapest. They know it's cheapest and have the quality. When they buy some product from the market, they want to go to the traditional market where they know they can buy a good quality product at a low price. So that's why when you have these shops on the ground floor of the residential towers, you have to struggle to sell some kind of goods or services to the local people. So when you have a lot of local people to serve, it may not be easy for the retail shop owner to run the business.
And Mr. Yoon, in Korea, or in Seoul, most of the shop house occupied by convenience store or boutique store or just a family-owned business.
These days in Seoul, it's very difficult to see the family business market like in the retail market, say the mama and papa shop. Yeah. No, it's almost gone. So the commercial building, you can see at least 1 or 2 convenience store. And then other things would be the F&B shop and then the ice cream shop, something kind of that. I'm talking about the ground floor. So I say that it's very modernized. So cannot see any traditional market in Seoul, especially the CBA.
Yeah. And there's also the factor of, say, the short-term residence or the service apartment, or say that it's an Airbnb. People come and stay for very short time. So their demand for convenience store, demand for Shophouse is very high. Even though the Airbnb Vietnam is not official, but I think there's a certain amount of short-term lease. So Andy, when you develop say property, you think about something like a short-term term.
So this is really, has 2 effects. If we develop something luxury or something very exclusive community for the buyers, we want this place to be very private. So we don't want these short-term people coming in and out because you don't know what they will do inside the project. And then you don't want to have all these outside people come, and also they may make noise, they may cause some trouble, they may party all night long, you don't know, right? And then the kids running around the area making the neighbors a bit uncomfortable. And we have seen these things happen in the places where they allow short-term stays. So for a developer like us who want to focus in the high-end luxury segment, we tend to avoid having these short-term people coming in. But when you look at the retail sector, the projects that allow these short-term stays to come, the retails are doing very well. So it's give and take, I think. Yeah.
Loại hình bất động sản nhà phố thông thường là một sản phẩm nhà ở gắn liền với đất nên có giá trị rất lớn. Ngoài khả năng cho thuê để kinh doanh hoặc tự kinh doanh, nhà đầu tư còn có thể trông chờ vào yếu tố tăng giá sinh lợi của tài sản. Vị trí, số lượng Shophouse, thiết kế thông minh, liên kết khu vực tốt là những yếu tố hàng đầu để lựa chọn được một căn Shophouse chất lượng cho việc đầu tư. Trong đó yếu tố mang tính quyết định là vị trí. Hiện nay, tỷ lệ Shophouse từng chiếm từ 2 đến 5% số lượng các sản phẩm trong khu đô thị. Việc lựa chọn được những căn có vị trí đẹp sẽ giúp gia tăng giá trị cả khi kinh doanh hoặc bán lại. Đây chính là lý do khiến giá các căn Shophouse trong cùng một dự án có mức trên từ vài tỷ, thậm chí cả chục tỷ đồng. Theo các chuyên gia, hiện nay các căn Shophouse được thiết kế thông minh, thiết kế mở với phần diện tích kinh doanh và phần diện tích ở tách biệt, tiện lợi cho hai nhu cầu, cụ thể cầu thang và lối đi tách biệt khỏi tầng 1. Điểm này cho phép nhà đầu tư có thể cho thuê riêng tầng 1 để làm cửa hàng, nhà hàng hoặc văn phòng, trong khi vẫn có thể ở các tầng trên rất riêng biệt. Thống kê của CBRE cho thấy, hiện giá cho thuê bình quân của Shophouse ở thành phố Hồ Chí Minh tùy khu vực dao động từ 10 đến 30 đô la Mỹ một mét vuông một tháng, giá chào bán đạt từ khoảng 2.700 đến 4.000 đô la Mỹ một mét vuông. Mức lợi nhuận từ việc cho thuê Shophouse dao động trong khoảng 8 đến 12% một năm, con số khá hấp dẫn so với gửi tiết kiệm. Vì vậy, đây vẫn sẽ là hạng mục đầu tư được yêu thích trong thời gian tới.
Welcome back to our program, Property Insight, and we are discussing with Mr. Andy Han, Mr. Yoon Young, and Miss Chinh about the business of Shophouse. So we talk about operation of Shophouse, and Miss Chinh, in CBE, you classify how many types of Shophouse?
Classification of shop houses, we don't really classify them because the supply and the types, the existing types in the market are still, limited. But what we can always think of when we talk about, when we mention shop house, is the ground floor and the first floor of a apartment building. I think it's quite common now. But there are also some cases where it's located on a third floor separately, and it's called shop lot or shop house.
And Mr. Andy Hen, as a developer, you like the concept of shop house or not? Because somebody say that shop house is not easy to sell. So the developer or the owner have to keep and lease out. Somebody say that shop house is very attractive. So you're a developer and you like to do shop house or not?
I think, to attract or to make sure that the residents who are living in the residential towers to have a convenient way of living, it's a must-have facility. So we as a developer, we want to have, some space to run these commercial shops. But then, when it comes to the location for each project will have a different type of need. For example, a project in District 1 or 3 will want to have more commercial spaces. Projects in District 9 will require less commercial spaces. So I think it all depends on where the project is, how big the development is, and etc. And then whether you are next to the road or further in from the main road, all these different type of factors will affect the decision, for the commercial shops.
I think you mentioned something that's very important. That's the competition from the traditional market and the modern shop house. I think that very close to our studio here, there's one market in District 7 named Tân Mỹ Market. And next to Tân Mỹ Market, we have the big building and there's shop house downstairs. And I don't count how many, but all the shop house downstairs are left empty. And not empty for half a year or a year. It's empty for almost 10 years. So, Ms. Chinh, what you say about why people plan a shop house and leave it empty for 10 years? What's the damage? What's the cost and loss?
Yes, so I think the most challenging thing for developers in optimizing the usage of shop houses is to have it well planned in the very beginning. So we're not talking about just the total space that they have to build within the project, but they also need to think about the other factors such as accessibility, visibility of the shop houses, and whether they have designed a space like Mr. Andy just mentioned earlier for motorbike parking, for short-term parking. So we see a lot of buildings here, they have shop houses, very good visibility, but because of the common area, it doesn't really accommodate the end users. Let's say the occupiers, convenience store, or restaurants, coffee shops, or the shoppers. So whenever you need to buy, if you're not in a walking distance and you have to buy let's say a sandwich, and before you go to work, you have to have a place where you can park your motorbike and get inside the store, buy the product, and then go outside and then go to work. It's not just like the pavement merchants anymore, right? So you can just stop by and buy the products and go. So these small little things need to be considered and well planned in the very, very beginning. And the idea and the most important thing is to support the occupiers to have a sustainable business. So the projects that doesn't have those elements, I think those elements help them. But those elements were very important, but they did not think of that, so it make the project fail. The shop houses fail. Because once the tenant doesn't see those supporting elements, they will consider very much. Eventually, they might say a no to have the business there.
And Mr. Jun, when you're looking for a space for your store, you prefer to have it from developer or from family or from any kind of landlord?
I'm sorry to say we have the developer and then the real estate company, but we prefer to contact the landlord directly. Yeah. So that if we contact directly the landlord is save some costs and then speak to the more competently. Yeah. So we prefer to contact to the landlord directly.
Theo báo cáo của CBRE, thị trường thành phố Hồ Chí Minh trong năm 2018 ghi nhận tỷ lệ giao dịch bán cả năm đạt 92% ở phân khúc biệt thự, liền kề và Shophouse. Giá bán tăng cả trên thị trường sơ cấp và thứ cấp. Thậm chí trong quý 1 năm 2018, tốc độ tăng trưởng phi mã của Shophouse còn lên tới 261% so với cùng kỳ năm 2017. Còn về nguồn cung Shophouse, bà Dương Thị Dung, giám đốc cấp cao của CBI Việt Nam, đánh giá đang thấp hơn nhiều so với căn hộ. Cụ thể, tính đến hết quý 4 năm 2018, toàn thị trường biệt thự Shophouse thành phố Hồ Chí Minh có thêm 1.251 căn, giảm 62% so với năm trước và vẫn đang bị hạn chế trong năm 2019. Trong khi đó, nhu cầu hiện hữu đang ngày một gia tăng. Theo thống kê, có tới 43.230 doanh nghiệp đăng ký mới, tăng 3,7%. Xu hướng khởi nghiệp startup đang khiến mặt bằng kinh doanh và dịch vụ được khai thác khá mạnh. Hai tích cực trên đang tạo ra nhiều cơ hội gia tăng giá trị cho dòng sản phẩm này.
Yeah, just say GS25. You come and you do very good service and you develop a customer base. And after 3 years, the contract expired. And some other convenience store, they want to take over your location. So they offer higher price. And Andy will lease out to other convenience store. So whenever you go to a place and you negotiate for the contract, often you talk about 5 years, 7 years, or 1 year.
Basically, the standard contract here, I feel like it's not the regulation, but I feel like there's 5 years. But if we think that there's a good location, we try to expand the contract period or make some option like the plus 1 year and the plus 1 year, and then or give us the priority to negotiation first. But basically, the important thing is that when we operating, we make the relationship with the landlords and the developer, which is more important. Not only cost. Important is that how to develop their commercial zone and how to make the relationship for a long time. I think it's better than just a little bit 5% or 10% increasing. So that's our strategy, to make the good relationship with the developer and landlord.
Yeah, and Andy, we're talking about GS25, a premium convenience store from Korea. At your option, you can lease out the commercial area to whoever to pay high cost, or you can lease out the commercial area for whoever have better brand name. And the one who have better brand name may not pay you as high as the other. What's your choice?
Again, I think our focus will be how to provide, good amenities to the people who are living in the residential towers. So finding a good balance, for example, convenience store will be, or mart, will be one shop that we will need to have at least. And then some F&Bs, spas, nails, and the hair salons, and etc. So, of course, due to the size of the project, the space availability will differ. But we want to make sure that we have a various mix so that the residents no need to walk or travel too far to use these services or to buy products from these retail shops. Paying the high rent not necessarily is something that we're looking for. We want to have more balanced shops throughout the project.
So it means you have two purposes. One, to make money, and second, to serve your resident better. But how about, just one example, you have a very good commercial area, and people in the next project, they can do marketing that say that we have a luxury commercial area in Sun Kim Land project, so your competitor benefit from your service.
I think next project can take advantage of the facilities that we have, but I think again we want this to be a win-win situation where well-balanced commercial areas will support the residentials who are living in the community. And then when you have various options for commercials, that will also allow the residential tenants to easily move in. So it helps for the area to fill up quickly. And once the residents are stabilized, commercials will also be stabilized. And then make more business from here. So if there's another project, meaning the catchment area is becoming big and you have these more people to serve, then obviously that will benefit, I think, both sides. So for us, it's a good situation. Yeah.
And in CBE messaging, you manage some commercial area that the landlord or the developer authorize CBE to manage it. But also you have many individual owner. Yeah. They also own the shophouse. What do you think that the advantage property managed by CBE compared to the property managed by the owner?
Property managed by CBRE and by the owner, I think the biggest difference is that the services that we provide is unified anywhere, or when we commit to the developer and the residents in the project. We would call ourselves as professional service provider, but then it's just a name. But then if I have to list out, then there are a few other things that we do have the guideline from our corporation to manage the building at the service that the developer and the residents agree from the beginning. And I don't think individual owner have those kind of guidelines and commitment, because once they manage by themselves, they will have a huge freedom in terms of doing whatever they want, which might affect the neighbors.
So the shophouse, when you build a shophouse, the value, either sell it or lease it, still higher than the resident area. Is it true?
We have recorded the difference might be from 25% up. So it can be normally from 25% to even 100% higher than the the upper apartment levels. However, it all, like I said, depended on the location. And then the value of the shophouse doesn't get valuated from the beginning of the selling stage, but it's rather it increased quickly and very high compared to the apartment levels in later period of time of operating the building. Let's say if you sell the price now, when it's not built yet, it can be an A price. But then when the building is handed over, the retail business is in, and then after 3 to 5 years, the value of the occupancy of the retail shops or the shop house is estimated very high, and it's way higher than the apartment building, apartment levels.
So that's what we talk about from the perspective of the landlord and developer. But here, Ms. Yoon, you are the user. Either you're the lessee. I'm very interested in your experience that you say in Korea. Many or most of family-owned business in the Shophouse are gone. So now it comes to professional business. What condition the lessee have to sign when they come in to the landlord? What kind of food you can sell? What kind of business you can do? You say that in the convenience store in Korea, the most important is cigarette.
Yes, the sales occupancy rate is cigarettes is very higher than here, like around 30 or 40%. But they cannot say it's the important item because cigarette is some kind of the necessary item. Yes. So there is no promotion. The sales is very solid. So we focus on the fresh food in convenience store, same like here. That's why we bring our fresh food from Korea to the Vietnam. So we can make the promotion, and then if we deal with the good products for Vietnamese, even Korea, we can raise the sales much higher than before, year by year. That happened in Korea and Japan. That makes the convenience store different from other retail channel. The people prefer to have a new experience and new food in the convenience store. Like when you go to the market and super, it's just buying the groceries and then buy and come back, that's all. But we want to provide the new service and new experience in the convenience store, like they sit around and they enjoy the food, and we change the menu every day to like restaurants. That's the new movement in the convenience store. So we are very proud that we can do it in Vietnam.
So, Ms. Chinh, we have talked about the Shophouse, or say the commercial area in a project, and you say that 20%. I mean, your experience, your broad experience, 20% is high or low?
I think I wouldn't say it's high or low, but it's rather flexible in terms of the projects and the area where the project is located. Let's say if the project is located in a very crowded area that has immediate catchment, it is important to have commercial space to serve not only the residents but the surrounding people. So that's something that is happening a lot in some of our projects here in the market. But also there are some more projects that same percentage of commercial space doesn't help the developer or the residents, because the catchment is not immediate, because there's not enough people to use those services or buy services in those commercial area. And so the occupiers do not come, and that's where the commercial space is empty. Yeah. So in those cases, I think it's important to be flexible in terms of the location and the demographic of the project location. Yes. Yeah.
On the hand, in general, is it everything is happen as you plan? Is sometimes you plan this area for this kind of business, it doesn't work out and it turns out a different kind of business. So your master plan, your design may not always work as you think at the beginning. So what's your experience about that?
When you try to bring in powerful brands, international brands, they have various requirements, including the rental fees. They want lower rentals because they know their brand will attract people from outside also, and also to help the community to attract more residents. So sometimes you're successful in dealing with these international brands, or sometimes you fail. So you need to look for tier 2 options, meaning you may have to talk to the local, brands, which may not be as strong as the international brand, right? So it's really how you negotiate with these, the brands. And then when you fail, you need to think of another option to make sure that you still, in terms of the category, you somewhat keep the initial, the percentages that you planned. I think this is most important. Yes, brand also very important, but as long as we have some shops in that category, I think they will be the successful.
Yeah. In next part, we come back and we talk about different recommendation. Recommendation to developer, recommendation for owner, and recommendation for the government policy. So we'll come back in a few minutes.
Năm 2019, thị trường chứng kiến sự thiếu hụt quỹ đất đi kèm với mặt bằng giá tại một số khu vực trung tâm có dấu hiệu tăng quá nóng. Vì thế, thị trường ngoại thành và các tỉnh dự kiến sẽ trở thành một động lực tăng trưởng mới cho phân khúc Shophouse, đặc biệt là Bình Dương, Long An và Đồng Nai. Theo phân tích của các chuyên gia, thị trường Shophouse đang diễn ra sôi động trong năm 2019, trong đó các dự án ở cửa ngõ phía đông như quận 9 và thị trường mới nổi như Nhân Trạch nổi trội nhờ hạ tầng kết nối ngày càng đồng bộ. Ngoài ra, gần đây cũng ghi nhận một làn gió mới từ việc đầu tư và xây dựng Shophouse nằm trong khu du lịch nghỉ dưỡng ở các điểm đến nổi tiếng như Phú Quốc, Hạ Long. Thực tế cho thấy tỷ lệ Shophouse trong một dự án du lịch nghỉ dưỡng thường chỉ chiếm 3 đến 5% tổng sản phẩm, trong đó chủ yếu là Shophouse gần biển. Phân khúc Shophouse gần biển trong các dự án du lịch nghỉ dưỡng lớn luôn có tính thanh khoản trên 80%. Tất nhiên, không phải dự án Shophouse vùng ven hay gần biển nào mở bán cũng thành công. Lý do là do khoảng cách xa hơn và thiếu nhiều tiện ích so với khu vực trung tâm. Nhà đầu tư luôn thẩm định, sàng lọc kỹ càng các dự án, năng lực của chủ đầu tư trước khi quyết định mua. Chỉ những dự án có quy hoạch kỹ lưỡng, sở hữu vị trí đắc địa cũng như tiềm năng tăng giá mạnh mới có thể hấp dẫn được khách hàng.
Welcome back to our program. We're talking about Shophouse and Shophouse development and Shophouse business. And now we have our Shophouse recommendations. Ms. Chinh, when you see the people buying Shophouse, what's their expectation in short term and long term?
Right. There are several types of investors when they look at buying shop houses. It's either short term, for instance, very common is that they will buy it and they can pay like, let's say 20-25% of the payment term, and then they can sell it back to someone else with a higher price and they benefit from it. That's very common in the market right at the moment. But then also there are some cases where the buyers buy and they want to have a longer term investment. So they will just pay as the payment term goes, and when the space is handed over, they'll either lease it to the occupiers, like GS25 here, or they can do business themselves.
But I think Shophouse, the demand for leasing will continue to rise, for sure. So if you look at it from long-term point of view, I think it's one of the good investment, real estate investment that you could, it's just collecting the rent basically.
Yeah.
Of course, may not be better than putting the money in the bank. Some banks, on a yearly basis could give you more than that, but you also need to consider the price appreciation over the years. So that will definitely produce a yield close to 10% a year, I believe.
I think the Vietnamese this leasing market is too complicated. Like too many the developers and then selling, reselling, leasing, and every step the costs. So all this burden transport to the leasing. So the occupied rate of the rental fee when compared to the sales is I think that the 50% to 60% higher than Korea. So in the prime area and then the downtown, it cannot survive with this rental fee.
Yeah.
We all know that the newcomers, so many newcomers are coming in Ho Chi Minh, but at the same time, the many players are also the shut down. So this situation is not good for everyone. So my recommendation is we need to control ourselves to survive and then make the sustainable the economic the atmosphere. Like the first step is a regulation. Like we say before that Korea has many regulations. Sometimes there's a big difficulties to open quickly. But on the other hand, in terms of long term, to survive everyone. So we need some kind of a control from the government, and then the private area, also the entrepreneurs to make some association to control by ourselves. So to make this kind of effort, we can make the survival everyone. Of course, it's the competition, so cannot survive everything. But at least we can make the sustainable the market, leasing the market.
And I think that whenever we develop a Shophouse or commercial area, we always think about the big name like GS25. You want to invite in GS25 or Starbucks or the big name. Make your property more luxury. Make your resident have better service. But often when you come in, there's a negotiate about price escalation on a term. You want to have 5 years. And they say sometimes up, sometimes down. But people always look at, we must have price, the rent hike every year. So how difficult to negotiate with the landlord?
Just talking about the GS5 situation. So, those kind of things is kind of the local thing, right? The GS25, I'm the expert and I have many expertise of operation of the convenience store that developed and many technologies. But the negotiation with the local landlords and the local company and in Vietnam, I think it's the local the expert is much better than the foreigners. So that's why we are the cooperating with the local company. For me, the example, the Song Kim, so that they are well known about this situation and the negotiation. So they are responsible and in charge of that.
And also, as Ms. Chinh said, that people should have a very well planned, better design and long-term vision. I know that in District 2, District 1 and District 9, there's a lot of projects developed with the vision that are serving the metro line. And the metro line keep delay and delay and delay for many years. What is negative impact on the planning of the developer?
In Vietnam, still there's a lot of people riding motorbikes, meaning people don't walk much compared to other countries. When metro line comes into effect, a lot of people will be forced to walk. Yeah. So meaning there's more traffic. On the way to the metro or coming back from the metro, they will see or they'll pass by certain shops, and this will make them want to buy something, right? So you spend more time, you buy more from the shops that's near your house. So it will help. But obviously because of the delay, people thought, by the time this project is finished, metro line will open. So people have invested at the early stage, but the buyers are not getting the returns that they expected. But of course, from the price appreciation, because if you have bought something next to the metro line, I'm sure by now the property have all increased. So you do have, I mean, you may not have a direct or expected level of rental income, but from the price appreciation, you already have certain, unrealized gain already. So we're expecting in 2 years period, metro lines will be open. So then not only the price will go up again, but these rentals will, will meet what you expected.
Yes. And a second.
And then the second is that the city definitely needs a lot more shops. And then because the traditional culture, still people prefer to go to the traditional markets. People still prefer to go to very big marts or very big places to buy products. But then because we also become busy, so we have less time to travel far. So this will naturally force people to go to the places that's near your house, near your office. So I'm sure we see a lot of improvements in terms of infrastructure. More roads being built, especially I live in District 2. Next to the metro line, of course, there's a big Hanoi highway, but adjacent to the highways where it was just empty land, government didn't take care of it. But I see now government building smaller roads to supplement the main highway. So along these roads, now because we are going to see more traffic that didn't exist before. So of course, the rentals or the need for shops will increase. So this will also naturally support or, will give more business to the tenants who are looking for such opportunities.
The last question from Mr. Yoon. You come from Korea. What do you see the future of Shophouse business in Vietnam? You recommend me or somebody to buy the Shophouse?
Very good question. I feel like that not only the Shophouse, the situation is completely similar to 20 years ago in Korea. Maybe a little bit older the Japan situation. So if you're confident about the Vietnamese the economy and then the Shophouse and the rental, everything we follow that developed country, I think it has a lot of potential, and this is the time we join this mood. So, especially Shophouse, we opened the convenience Shophouse, those kind of Shophouse in Korea a lot 10 years ago. For the first time, there are a lot of concern because the people think that the supermarket is more suitable for the residence area. But when their income increase and when they need more the convenience and when they have more the time for the relax, they usually go to the convenience store because it's more closer to their house. I think that the Vietnamese now their income increase, economic developed, so they will focus on the convenience more than the price or cost. So I'm also very confident to this whole situation will follow the developed country.
So we just have a program talking about Shophouse. And we have a lot of idea and comment from Mr. Andy Han, CEO of Sun Kim Land, developer. You have idea and comments from Mr. Yoon Yu Young, Chief Operating Officer from GS25, and from Ms. Chinh from Retail Service in CBE. So thank you for watching us. Thank you so much.